Welcome to Deconstructing Data, our new BDEX podcast. I'm Jessie Lezak, head of marketing at BDEX, along with co-host Joshua Morgan, BDEX content marketing extraordinaire, and of course David Finkelstein, BDEX's co-founder and CEO. Today's guest is Vitaly, and now I remember Vitaly. I was going to ask you how to pronounce your last name, so please could you tell us how do I say your last name correctly?
It's actually the first name is also pronounced as Vitaly.
Vitaly
Yeah, and the last name is Kovrigin.
Kovrigin. Okay, because I would have said Kovrigin.
You
Kovrigin.
could, you could. That's fine.
No,
I
I
don't
know, and I get
know.
the same thing with Lizak. It's like Lizak, Lyzak. Um, in the U.S., it's more of a Lyzak. But thank you for that. And so you have 15 years of experience in software development, product definition, architecture, R&D, front end, back end, and design, implementation, automation, cloud deployment. I mean, we could go on and on and on. You have a degree in applied math, and you've become an expert in data generation, processing, and analytics. So, when you're not working, I also read that you enjoy cooking. So that's fun. So we hope to get into some of that fun stuff that you like to do outside of BDEX as well. But thanks for being here, Vitaly. If you wouldn't mind, could you please start from the beginning and tell us your full story before coming to BDEX and how you became who you are today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Uh, well, it's a long story, I guess, but it may make it short. I I'm here where I am right now is because I was constantly I don't know improving myself. I guess you can't have like an attitude in life claiming that you know everything about everything, right? Yet there are those people out there. Uh, you have to constantly work on yourself, develop new skills, not just professionally but personally as well, right? And improving existing ones. Um, and I don't know. I would say that the motto should be for everyone, uh, like nothing is impossible or I can do it. And even if you don't know um, how to do something, right? You just do research. Thanks for YouTube, we have a tremendous amount of data and knowledge shared with us, right? You can just watch a few videos and try to do it. The first time it's not going to be like perfect, but it's just after the maybe a few tries, you can claim yourself an expert, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You make a good point about personal development. It's so important, and it's something that you can do your entire life. It's not something that ever ends. I don't care if you're 80 years old; you can still improve personally. There's always ways to improve, and so that's professional and personal. I think that's a really, really good point. I think that personal development is really important for people at an individual level. It a lot of people think about their professional development. Oh, I want to advance my career. I want to advance my career. But there's so many ways to, you know, learn, and so many things to learn, and so many ways to improve on a personal level as well.
Yeah, funny you should say that because my daughter, she's a junior at a high school, and she had a she had a choice basically to get an additional advanced AAP class, right? Advanced placement class, or to take a pottery. She
Mm-hmm.
decided to take a pottery, and you will not believe the things that she's making right now. It's just amazing. It's so
Yeah,
beautiful. Like looks,
yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
Well, there is, multiple studies have shown that like art and music and various classes like that does engage a different area of the brain. So when you kind of combine that, the academics with the art side of it, so you have a much more holistic learning experience. And so the unfortunate part, especially in a lot of, depending on what state you're at, those classes, art and theater and drama and sculpture and music, those are the classes that kind of get cut first, which is a little unfortunate because the kids are sitting for 5 to 6 hours a day in a desk, which is, don't get me wrong, the science and the math and everything is important, but man, sometimes you just want to like, can I take a moment not to be so serious and make something fun?
Absolutely.
So which leads, I'm curious, where did you develop an interest in software? And I ask this because I have a dad. He was a computer programmer. I have a brother who is a computer programmer, and so I took a fundamentals of programming logic, like a 101, very basic, do until, if then, those kind of things. And at the end of the semester, the professor said, if you're happy with your grade, you don't have to take the final. And I had like a 71, and I was like, I'm done. I'm out. Thank you very much. It's just a different side of the brain that I'm used to. But where did you learn that you like really, really enjoyed that software side?
Uh, I guess I was born an engineer, and ever since I remember myself, even from the elementary school, I was curious about the math, the data, uh, and I was good with it. And I actually started to write my first programs uh, in a language called BASIC. It was in the middle school. Uh, Over time, of course, there were some numerous changes between the languages and technologies, right? In order to uh, keep up with the demands and the latest developments. Uh, I actually spent like Jason mentioned, I spent like 6 years studying applied math, and that area is really, really close to data science. And all those areas like math, data science, and software development, they are really, really close. So I guess I was just born uh, with that skill apparently.
There seems to be what I've noticed is people are kind of inclined to be really on the kind of the English side, the writing side, where they're very, very mathematically inclined. And it's not true necessarily for everybody, but they tend to struggle a little bit more on the opposite side. And so it's always interesting to see that. And so at BDEX, what might a typical week look like for you as far as activities, kind of objectives and goals that you try and meet?
Uh, yeah, I mean, we follow pretty much standard variation of Scrum in SDLC, which is software development lifecycle, right? Which is basically assumes daily stand-ups where we briefly discuss our uh, with all stakeholders what happened yesterday, what I was working on yesterday, uh, what are the results of that work, right? What's the plan for today, and if there are any roadblocks. And we try to resolve those roadblocks like in a meeting. If not, we kind of online constantly, right? In Slack, on the phone. Uh, I mean, when we not overwhelmed with the amount of new clients and the tickets, right, for some sort of deliverables, we usually work on some improvements to the platform or developing new features. And I would say my week at BDX looks like a regular week at any software or data company. We deal with issues, developing new features, and basically deal with priorities, right?
So I'm at a, we all, there are all things that we absolutely love about what we do, and some things that we're like, I could, leave it. What would you say is within working in the software and kind of development and things like that? What is your favorite activities to do, and what are some of the activities you find more challenging, or maybe aren't your favorite things to do?
Uh, I would say sometimes when you have multiple meetings, one after another, it kind of burns you down, and you cannot really focus on the work that you need that you plan to do on this particular day, right? So I would say I'm not a real fan of back-to-back meetings all day. I used to have that kind of work, but it was not really productive for in that environment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I agree with that. It's the same thing. Unfortunately, I'm in a position where people pull me into a lot of meetings, but what I typically have to do is just set aside blocks of time where people can schedule me and blocks of time where they can't. So at least those blocks of time, I know that I can at least concentrate for a little while and get some things done without interruption. But yeah, I know sometimes the meetings can get overwhelming.
Well, I was gonna ask David. I was like, I bet your favorite thing is meetings.
No,
I think it
definitely
sounded
not.
like you're like, all
No,
right, another meeting. Yes.
yeah. I guess the meetings that I like, there are two meetings that I like the most. I like the engineering meeting when we talk about product and we can see different changes to the products and new features come together. And I like the sales meeting when we talk about sales that have closed. Those are my favorite things. But other than that, there's there's a lot of different types of meetings that I need to be in because of my role, and obviously Vitaly as well for his role, and that's just part of the part of doing business. I thought you were going to say documentation, Vitaly, because when I was I used to do software development too, and that was the worst part for me. I hated documenting the code.
I actually enjoyed the documentation because it kind of you can see any flows, like any design flows in the documentation when you create like a graph, what goes where, right? Oh, I did it wrong there. It needs to be fixed. And
Yeah.
with everyone working remotely, I think it's easier just maybe send a message in Skype, right, and basically resolve the issue like right away, like in 5 minutes, instead of wasting like 30 minutes discussing the same issue in a meeting.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely one of the great things is having tools like Slack available to us where we can instantly message someone and be like, oh, okay, good. You get a you know a question resolved or an issue resolved pretty quickly that way.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. I appreciate short meetings and try not to, go on and on if we don't have to. Like, we don't have to fill the time. If we get everything done in 30 minutes and we have an hour, then good, we can go get started on work.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Vitali, can we switch gears a little bit and hop into Omni IQ, which is obviously a really exciting topic for us in the last week since we just launched it. But please explain Omni IQ in your words. We've heard about it from the perspective of some of the others, but in your unique perspective, could you talk to us about Omni IQ?
Sure. So this is the new project that we have been working on for quite a while now, and it basically offers an ability to explore the audience that you have on hand. Right? Let's say you are a business owner and you would like to know your customers better, like what is the age distribution look like, or what's the household income, for example, or any other insights about them. You have an ability to upload that list and to our new platform and get that information for free. This is called list analytics in OmniSource IQ. That's one of the features, right, of the app.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one and most important feature is the platform allows you to expand your audience and get new customers which are uh, quite similar to your audience that you just uploaded, right? Uh, the platform utilizes a few machine learning algorithms which are yield remarkable results based on the feedback that we had from our clients. And I know that there are a few similar products on the market, but I really believe that our product stands out because of the quality work that we do on identity resolution and identity graph. If we can discuss that as well, that would be great.
Absolutely. I mean, you're kind of making your way into it, so, go ahead if you want to just jump right into that right now.
Yes. So what's a best case scenario for a business owner when they target an audience, right? It is to get as much feedback as possible so they can increase the chances of getting new business opportunities, right? And so the question is how to achieve that. And I guess one of the easiest solutions for our customers would be to use our identity graph. We did all the hard work for them by making sure it's that's a our graph has the most recent version or snapshot, right, on the market. We do that by collecting data from multiple data sources, aggregating it in our platform, and basically normalizing it using various proprietary algorithms. B, our graph is verified, so you can be sure that you will not be targeting a click farm or a bot. The return of advertising spent on those, I guess, around zero, right? You spend money, but you don't get any feedback back. And you would agree that, let's say, a real person will unlikely have 10 mobile phones associated to a single email address. It's highly unlikely. So those will be basically eliminated from our graph as fraudulent. And C is the graph is verified, and it's linked to a real person living in a physical address. You also have an option to link a physical address or household to all the IDs like emails, mobile IDs, etc., IP address. And the scale we're talking about here is like nationwide coverage, right? Measured in hundreds of millions of links ingested, verified, merged back to our identity graph on a weekly basis. Yeah, I think that's kind of point that I wanted to make about the identity graph.
Yeah, tell us more. So what when we get a customer who comes in and they want to work with our identity graph, what's your role? How do you help?
So we have a number of procedures that basically help to identify which identities are valid and which are not. And again, this is a multiple, not just a single, or multiple algorithms that we use.
Identity resolution algorithms.
Yes.
I don't know if you know, but Josh and
yeah,
I spent about 2 months kind of banging our heads over a blog called Identity Resolution Algorithms. So we always love to hear the topic.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one, yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was going to ask, so what, because we've talked to a couple of the people that have kind of like worked on this project, and so what has been like your role specifically in the creation of the Omni IQ app?
We worked as a team, right? And my role, I took a part in designing and architecting the whole product, all the moving parts. My key responsibilities were around authentication, authorization, security, and front-end development. But again, this is a team effort, so everyone got the chance to work on almost every component of the app.
Yeah.
So would you say everyone on the dev team pretty much wears multiple hats within dev to do and accomplish many things?
That's what we do, yes.
That's awesome. So we sort of jumped around. We had a couple other questions about Omni IQ, if you don't mind. I'm going to ask one of these. So to you with Omni IQ, what do you think stands out as being the most beneficial to users? So you gave this really, general kind of explanation of what it is to you, but like in a really simple way, how would you describe the value of Omni
IQ? You can get new customers. Basically, you can expand your audience with very high probability that the new customers are gonna have are gonna like to have your business. That's one of the key features, I guess.
And you guys have made it really easy to use. Another thing, so thanks for that.
Uh, yeah, it's still work in progress, but yeah, we get in there, and once we have some critical mass of active users, we'll gather additional feedback for sure and improve it
Absolutely.
even further.
I was impressed with, the first time I uploaded a list, it didn't accept my list at all. Um, and then I assumed, it was going to be something where I was going to be asked to go like fix my list. But it wasn't like anything like that. You guys just went and fixed the system so that it would accept my list. So I appreciated that. And I think the customers will too, because, there's going to be lots of stuff implemented and uploaded in different ways. So I think that'll be helpful. Um, so, Josh, do you want to hop down to some of your questions that we were going to ask in terms of? So, we got into identity resolution, but data and marketing.
Well, I kind of have like two questions, and one is actually with identity resolution because I've had such an interesting time at BDEX. It's been like, so I come from more of the, like, I've been a writing teacher for a long time, and so I've been in like the humanities a lot and things, and so I have had I don't want to call it a culture shock, but like I had never heard the term like first party data before, like coming to BDEX. So this has been like a huge, like, the amount of which I have, as a teacher, I love the whole learning aspect. So I've been like, okay, I got to listen to podcasts and read blogs and read articles and like Googling and stuff like that. And so there are, for somebody like me that's kind of coming into this, how would you explain identity resolution? I always say, like, break down identity resolution to like the way an 8-year-old would understand it.
Sure. Uh, so each person has an email, right? In general, really, maybe some elderly people or some young people don't have an email yet, or already, I don't know. So let's say a general person has an email. A general person has also have a phone, right? And there is an mobile phone ID, which is Mate, called Mate. It's AAID or IDFA, depending on the platform that your phone is built. And like the simplest identity resolution link would be, in this case, link your email, hashed email, right, to your phone. That would be the link. Then you can go crazy about it, right? You can have multiple emails. You can then you need to link those multiple emails to that phone, right? To that Mate. Then you get a new phone, second phone, right? And you start using those emails on the second phone as well. So now you need to link the second phone to all your emails. You also have an IP address, right? An IP address could be static or dynamic. The static is basically your home IP, right? It usually doesn't change. So you can link your IP address to all your devices using that IP and all the email that have been used on those phones, on those devices, right? Then you have a concept of PII, which is a personal identified information, I guess. PII. That's your first name, last name, right? Maybe your phone number. And then you have a household, which is your physical address where you live. So basically, what we try to do is we try to link all the data into a single entity or multiple entities which are linked together. And each time we get a new data, we verify it against existing data. If it's in a bad list of users, if it's in a bad list of users, we take our according action. If it's not, we just update our graph and it goes and goes on a weekly and a daily basis.
See, I was going to do that a whole different way. See if I,
Tell us.
well, you said explain it the way you explain it to an 8-year-old, and so I was going to say pretend you're an 8-year-old and you have a bag of toys and you bring it over to your friend's house and you take your bag of toys and you throw it in with all of your friends' toys, and now you just have a huge pile of toys, and for the next 3 hours you're playing with those toys. Then I come back and I go to pick you up, and I walk over and I pick up all the toys that are yours, even though I didn't you didn't label them, and I find all the toys that were yours. I put them in the bag, and helped you pack them without you telling me which of those toys. And that's because I was able to resolve which of those toys were yours and which of the toys were the other kids. There you go, toy resolution.
I did kind of wonder when you first mentioned email. I was like, but I have a 7-year-old and she knows what email is, so she would get it.
Identity resolution for an 8-year-old. I like it.
Well, it stemmed from a discussion that we saw on LinkedIn, and it was somebody said, and it was a person that was in revenue operations, and it was like, can you explain revenue operations to a 6-year-old, which gets even more difficult. And so Amelia was trying to break down that what revenue operations was, and she was trying to describe it like, well, okay, so you have this train, and at the end of it, her 6-year-old was like, you build trains? That's so cool.
I think you're talking about Amelia Taylor, and I'm pretty sure she definitely has a book out, but interesting person.
Yeah.
So anyway, I kind of want to know more about you, Vitaly. So when you're not at BDEX, you are interested in cooking and what else? Tell us about you and what you do for fun.
Sure. Yeah, I have two kids, two daughters. The age is 15 and 2, so it's kind of fun. Yeah. So the oldest one goes to high school, right? So she's a teenager. That's one level of challenges, I guess. And the small one is still a baby, still an infant. She's adorable. Um, yeah. So basically, my life not working is um, around them. So
Yeah.
like 100% of the time. Yeah, I do love to cook. Uh, Used to live in Miami for a long time. It's a unique city. It's a mix of different cultures, especially from Latin America. So a lot of dishes from that cuisine, from Latin cuisine, is uh, I try to adopt it to basically my national cuisine, which is Russian. And yeah, it's an interesting like a mix of things.
A fusion.
Yeah, fusion exactly. And we actually moved out from Miami last year because it was becoming too crowded, I would say. So it was really stressful, but now we live like in the countryside almost, and it's more relaxed. I like it here.
Nice.
It's in Jacksonville, yeah, north of Florida.
Like
Yep.
the famous
What
song.
is Russian cuisine? Like, I've never. I think of all the. I'm in Oklahoma, so we're not very adventurous in Oklahoma. I mean, we got like, for example, we have maybe a couple Greek restaurants, like a few Indian restaurants, but we don't really have a lot of variety. So, what does Russian cuisine look like? Because I'm completely curious now.
Uh, so I would say number one is borscht, but a lot of my Ukrainian friends are gonna complain about it because it's usually like Ukrainian slash Russian, or I would say
And
East,
Polish too, borscht.
like yeah,
Like borscht.
Slavic, yeah, Slavic soup. It's a borscht.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit soup. My wife actually cooks it right now at this moment. Uh, that's
Red is made out of beets,
yeah,
and the
it's
white is egg.
what's that?
red borscht is made out of beets, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, yes. I'm
Yep.
talking about the red borscht. Yeah.
Yep.
So the borscht, that's one thing. Second one, I would say it's uh, pelmeni, which is dumplings, usually with meat.
Mm.
And the third one, I would say it's blini or blintzes. That's
Oh yeah.
pancakes.
Hmm.
Oh,
Nice.
So I have some relatives, going back 3 generations that were Russian as well. My parents grew up eating borscht and blintzes. And so when I grew up as a kid, that was regular food for me. As a kid, I didn't like borscht, but I loved the blintzes.
Yeah, my kids don't like borscht either.
Mhm.
I like the red borscht. But I think we really only eat red borscht around Christmas, the holiday. It's a holiday soup,
Mhm.
like, at least for my husband's family.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, well, it's been really great talking with you, Vitaly. Did anyone else have any questions for Vitaly? David, we didn't really hear much from you. How was your week? Has anything progressed that you'd want to share on the podcast?
Me? No, week's been good. Obviously, all the advances with Omni IQ are exciting. That's really been, the key focus for us for several weeks, if not longer. Um, so I don't know. I don't have anything else additional to add, but
Great.
obviously this is always interesting because it always gives us an opportunity to look behind the scenes and get to know the team better, and so that's exciting, and I enjoyed it a lot.
I enjoyed it too.
I have one last question before we start to
Go
close
for it.
out. So I asked, and David's even answered this question. I caught him off guard with it. But
Mhm.
5 things. Um, what are 5 things that you just and so when I think of this, I think it could be like maybe like a personal camera. It can be a place. It can be an object. But what are 5 things that like are just like you just can't live without or wouldn't want to live without?
Uh, yeah, I would say the first one is definitely a good cup of coffee in the morning. That's a must. That's my drug. Uh, the second is I would say kids. My again my two daughters. They are everything to me, and
Yeah.
uh, again cannot claim it's an easy thing, especially with the teenager. But it's definitely exciting. So, the third one I would say I kind of already told that it's living in the countryside versus like in a crazy downtown because we used to live like in downtown Miami. That's constant traffic 24/7.
Yeah.
Um, the fourth one I would say is a smartphone because just imagine going out somewhere and let's say your phone has died, right, and the battery is dead, or you forgot it somewhere. You kind of feel limited without it, right?
Mhm.
Kind of lost, and the family is gonna be all stressed out. What has happened to you?
Yeah.
uh, and it was not the case like only like maybe 20 years ago, right? It was not the case. But now we are addicted to phones. It's amazing.
Yep.
Hmm.
And yeah, I would say the last you said five, right? Things.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say the fifth one is working in my current team. It's full of very talented individuals who make my life easier.
Well, that's awesome to hear.
That is awesome to hear. I like that.
Love that. It's funny you mentioned about the cell phone, and it really, honestly, hasn't been that long. And I remember I was in my 20s when like cell phones became like really portable that you could and kind of almost affordable, even though like your phone calls had to be super short because they were so expensive per minute. I remember like I first got one. I was in college, and so it's just like I'll get a call. Oh my God, I'm calling you on a cell phone. You don't believe this. I got to go. Bye. Click. Okay. Ooh, that was $3. Man, that was expensive. Yeah,
it
it's crazy how far they've come.
it's absolutely crazy. I don't know if any of you have ever accidentally left your phone at home and then got in the car and went somewhere.
Yes.
But it's like you're in shock. You're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I don't have my phone. You know what I mean? And it's the weirdest feeling. Like you feel like you can't survive without it.
And then,
And you might just be going to the store, right? I mean, you could just be going to the market to get, pick up food or something like that, but you still feel like, oh my gosh,
I know.
feels like the worst thing ever. It's crazy.
I just did that the other day, and my husband was like, "I didn't know where you were," and I'm like, "I was just out shopping and just forgot my phone."
Yep, it's crazy how
I
that
know.
has happened to us. Yep.
Yes.
Well, and the other thing, now that you mentioned that, I remember like if we went anywhere, like even to the doctor's office, we usually would take like mom would take a book with her. I would take some comic books. Like we would take something with us. And then the other day I was at the doctor's office, my phone died, and I was like, what am I supposed to do now? And how am I going to be entertained for this, 30? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yep.
complicated our lives.
Yep. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
this
just
is.
just imagine what's gonna happen in 20 years.
Oh, I know. I can't imagine.
Can't even.
It'll be the Matrix. It'll just be straight Matrix.
It's
You
gonna
want to
be
learn
like
something? You
Oculus.
jack in. You have yeah.
Not what David likes to hear.
It'll be a meta experience.
Yeah,
But no matter what, BDEX always stands for data privacy.
that's right.
All right. Well, in closing, we would love to get input from the listeners about what or who you would like to hear from on BDEX's new podcast. What questions do you have? What answers would you like us to find for you? Just let us know. We'd like to hear for you. This is for the BDEX audience. So again, thank you. We really appreciate your time, Vitaly. And if anybody has any questions for any of us, they can reach us at info@bdex.com. All right. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Awesome. Thank you.